Do you solemnly state the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you.
Thank you. Please have a seat and we'll stand. Adjust the microphone so we can hear you, and for the record, say and spell your first and last name, please.
Shawn Kahn, SHAWN, KHAN.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Kahn.
Good morning.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a security camera integration or installation company.
Do you own a company?
I do.
And what is that company?
First Digital Surveillance.
So what is your background and experience within your company? Explain a little bit what you do.
Okay, so I started out like an installer, and I still do installations. I do sales, pretty much A to Z, everything.
When you say installation and sales of what specifically?
So for example, let's say if a customer calls, I will return the call most of the time myself, unless somebody from the office returns the call. I would do a follow-up with them, do a site visit, assess their situation, what they're looking for, and then provide the estimate once they move forward. Most likely, 90% of the time, I will go for the installation with my techs.
And are you talking about then security cameras, the kind that are fixed to buildings or residences to monitor security coming and going in those buildings?
That is correct.
Okay. What is your background in IT?
So I went to school I have a bachelor's in information systems, and then I got into security cameras pretty much just self-taught myself.
Why did you get into that?
My older brother, I was helping him with security cameras in the beginning, and IT played a big role initially when we were using computers as DVRs back in the days. And then I decided just to move in this business.
When did you start working in IT, specifically with surveillance cameras, things of that nature, servicing customers?
2007.
2007. And is that when you started your business?
That is correct.
Okay. So going back to the years of 2017, were you contacted to install, or let's start with first give an estimate about security cameras at a residence that's at 5012 Queen Victoria Road in Woodland Hills?
Yes.
What was that, the Sementilli residence?
That is correct.
Okay. Can you recall how that contact was initiated?
So I believe it was a Sunday that I got an email somewhere around like midday time from Mr. Fabio Sementilli.
Your Honor, may I mark a 6-page document, a series of emails. The title is from Fabio Sementilli, and the 2 is info@CC installation. Is that correct?
CCTV installation dash Los
My
Angeles.
eyes aren't seeing that. CCTV installation,
Only 128.
and there's 6 pages. Show me the first page then. Do you recognize that email?
That is correct.
Okay, so the 2, the info@CCTV installation-Los Angeles.com, is that your business?
That is correct.
Okay, and it came from a Fabio Sementilli, and then do you know who this Calmati-Mo at Hotmail is?
Yes.
Who's that?
That's for Monica Sementilli.
Okay. The email speaks for itself, but what were you asked?
Basically, just inquiring about our services and just, I guess, talking about what they have and what they would like to improve.
Okay. Turning to page 2, a continuation of the email then?
That is
that
correct.
You that answered?
That is correct.
And you're asking if you're available Monday. What did you want to do on Monday?
Site visit.
So far, is this normal? Somebody contacts you and then you set up a visit?
That is correct.
What's the visit for?
Evaluation to see what they have, what they're looking to accomplish.
And then is that something that you go out and do?
99.9% I do, yes.
In this particular instance, did you end up going to the Sementilli residence?
Yes.
Turning to page 3, continuation of the email chain. Again, is that from Fabio to you with Monica Sementilli CC on it.
Yes.
Okay, so you decided on, or Fabio is telling you Wednesday would be a good day, is that right?
That is correct.
And then turning to page 4 is just a continuation of the email. Page 5. Again, a message from Fabio to you, and this is all on the same day, Sunday, June 19th, 2016, correct?
That is correct.
And Fabio provides their address at the Sementilli residence.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, there's a continuation on page 6. There's a, can we meet at approximately 11, and that was confirmed then?
Yes.
Okay. So then on that Wednesday, did you end up, that would be a couple days after Sunday, a couple days later, did you go to the Sementilli residence?
Yes.
What's been previously marked as People's 9, do you recognize that residence?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is that where you went to look at their, or do your estimate and look at their equipment?
Yes.
Hey, explain what you did when you got there.
So I believe initially I met with Miss Monica, and I usually when I get on site, I want to look at the equipment that they have. If it's existing setup, if it's new, then I just start with my own routine. And I believe during the initial phase, we got on the phone with Fabio, and he kind of expressed what he was looking to do. You know, pretty much the same thing in the email.
What did you? I'm sorry.
No worries. Pretty much whatever that he mentioned in the email. And of course, when I get to see their equipment, their monitor, I make recommendations that, hey, this is what I recommend you do. The cameras are not looking good at daytime. They're probably worse at night. And I believe they wanted to add another camera for the front door.
Okay. So backing up, and when you got to this resident, you met with, you said Miss Monica.
Monica Sementilli, yes.
Do you see her in court?
Yes, I do.
Can you please identify where she's sitting and what she's wearing?
She's sitting right there and wearing white, I think, or beige.
When you met with her, was there anybody else present with you?
No, just
So,
myself.
and as you indicated, Fabio was not there.
He was not there.
Did you see any daughters or girls, young teens there?
No.
Where did you first meet the defendant, who you call Miss Monica?
I think we just met at the driveway first,
Okay.
and then I think she had the garage open already, I believe. And then we got on the phone. I think she put him on the speaker phone or something like that.
Did you go in the garage?
Yes.
Why did you go in the garage?
I believe that's where the equipment was.
Okay, Exhibit 7, which has been previously marked, do you recognize the photographs here?
Yes,
And was this an area that you were directed to by the defendant?
that is correct.
And where specifically?
In the garage, towards the door leading to the inside of the house.
Right, right over here on the right photograph?
That is correct.
Okay. And what were you directed to?
To look at their existing equipment, the DVR that they have there, and then the monitor that they had in the kitchen. I think it was like an older monitor, not working, I'm not sure.
When you were in that garage that day on that Wednesday, where was the DVR?
In the garage above this, the cabinet.
This white cabinet right
White
here?
cabinet, exactly.
So up top?
Exactly where you see all the wires.
Okay. You see the wires, but when the defendant walked you into the garage, did she show you that DVR box?
I believe she did. It was an
Okay.
older box.
It was an older box?
Yeah, which is pretty typical. When I go in, people have older boxes, older monitors. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Okay. And then you also mentioned you went inside and saw a monitor, is that correct?
Yeah, in the kitchen. I don't recall exactly. Was it behind this wall? But yes.
Your name, Mark, is photograph 128, a photograph of a monitor.
Be 129.
That photograph right there, do you recognize that area?
Yes, I do.
Now, there's a monitor there. Is that the monitor, the area where you were directed?
Yes.
Did you end up, you're out surveilling now to do an estimate, did you end up replacing the monitor?
Yes, I replaced this monitor right here.
Okay, so when you got there, it was a different monitor.
I believe so.
Now this wall right here behind it, does that back up to the garage where the DVR was?
That's what it seems like, because to extend the monitor, if it's a new install or replacement, sometimes you have to run a cable. So I believe that's what it seems like. It was behind that garage wall. It
Okay.
was pretty short run.
All right, so now that you got there, you've seen where the DVR, and this is the old DVR box, correct?
In the garage, yes.
In the garage. You
Yes.
replaced that as well, ultimately?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So right now you're just at estimate point of view walking around. Where else did you go?
I think once we looked at the monitor, got a view of the angles, we walked around the house and looked at where all the cameras were, the type of cameras, and where they needed the new camera.
Landmark is People's 129.
130, Council.
Oh, I said 8. Did you correct me? Okay, 129, sorry.
This is, now you're gonna mark something at 130?
Yes, Landmark is 130.
What is that, please?
It's an aerial surveillance camera placement, aerial map of the Sementilli residence.
Very well.
Okay. All right, can you orient yourself as this is an aerial map of the Sementilli residence?
Yes.
Now, there's a pointer in front of you, a stick, if you could pull that out right under your monitor, and then turn around the screen and just indicate then where the cameras were that you looked at.
So we looked at this camera right here, this one right here,
Okay, so I'm going to describe. You're pointing to the bottom left. There's a
bottom left, yes.
bottom left. There's
Close
a.
to the street, closer to the street and the driveway.
And where was that camera then?
This camera was, we did not relocate any cameras, just
Okay.
upgraded the cameras or replaced. So I believe I replaced 3 cameras, because altogether they have 5 cameras. So in the picture, what you don't see is the intercom camera. The intercom camera is somewhere right here.
And you're indicating right as an entrance into the
Entrance
driveway.
into the driveway, yes.
So at that location, entering into the driveway, you said there was an intercom camera. Is that the kind where you push a button if you wanted someone to let you in?
Exactly.
And there was a camera attached to it?
There's a camera inside attached to it, not easy to replace, so we left it alone.
Do you know if that camera was working when you went out there?
It was working when I went out there, and it was working when we left.
The camera in the bottom left that you just pointed to, there's an icon with a right triangle. If I may mark this People's 131, it's entitled Surveillance Camera on the Side of the House.
Very good.
Is that the camera?
Yes, that's what it seems like. That is
Okay,
correct.
so that's on the side of the house then?
Side of the house, exactly.
Okay, and then there's a photograph on the upper right. Was that the camera you ended up installing? Or
Yes, that's the camera that I use. That is correct.
But when you're out there looking, you're looking at old cameras that you end up replacing at some point.
That is correct.
Did you keep them in the same location as they were when you replaced them? Did you keep them in the same location?
Usually I do, and I believe in this case we did also, yes.
Okay. Back to the aerial 130. What's the next camera?
So we did 3 cameras for her. So that's 1. This is number 2, looking at the driveway, straight at the entrance. And this is number 3, which is the side or the back, I should say.
One moment. On the camera looking right at the entrance is the right side lower icon. When they mark as People's 132, surveillance camera facing the driveway.
All right.
So you pull straight into the driveway. Is that the camera that would show somebody walking straight into the driveway?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. And then the third camera, which would be, there's a rectangular box, and to the left of that there's an icon. Which camera is that?
So I believe, because I did 3 cameras replacement, 1, 2, and the top right, I did this camera.
Okay, the top right one you replaced. And then Marcus 133, surveillance camera in your master bedroom photograph.
Very good.
133, is that the camera?
Yes,
And that's in the back of the house?
that is correct.
And that came off the back bedroom?
Yes.
Do you know if that viewpoint covered the patio area? Do you know what I'm talking about?
You know, patio area is the one that we see in the picture, right here, this area.
I'll show you that in a moment. Do you
Sure.
remember a covered patio in the back?
I don't recall
Okay,
100%.
I'll show you that in a moment. When I say patio, there's like a gazebo kind of with an awning.
I don't recall it.
Okay. And where was the fourth camera then?
Okay, so this camera right here is the one we added. Because we replaced 3, added 1, and didn't touch the intercom camera, and that total count is 5 cameras.
If I may, Marcus equals 134 photograph, 2 photographs entitled surveillance camera at front door.
All right.
You added the camera that's depicted in this photograph?
Yes,
So there was no camera at the front door before you ever got there?
I believe so.
All right. So the whole time that you're looking at these cameras, is the defendant showing you those cameras?
Yes.
All right. So talk about you, during that time then, she made a phone call to who you believe was Fabio on the phone.
Yes.
And then what was that conversation about?
Basically, to get clarity on what Mr. Fabio mentioned in the email, and also based on my recommendation, after I did the site visit. So pretty much going over the scope of work, what he wanted to do, looking to upgrade, be able to access remotely. And then I think we discussed the intercom camera either at that time or a little later. I told him I don't have a camera to replace it. It's very tiny camera, so we're going to focus on replacing 3 out of 4 cameras, I believe, at that time, and add 1 camera. So the total count will be 5 when we're done.
Okay, and you're adding the camera over the front door.
Out of the front door, that is correct.
Earlier I was asking about 133, which is off the back master bedroom, correct? Where there was a camera?
Yeah.
Giving you another view, Exhibit 9. Is that a photograph then of that back patio where that camera was?
Yes, I believe, and I believe I may not remember this very correctly because I didn't do the whole installation myself. I had an installer with me.
Okay.
I remember the whole front very good, so I don't recall this 100%.
Okay, let me just ask you then a point of interest. Exhibit 8. Do you know if there was any cameras that you're aware of that covered this back? This is what I meant by patio. It's more like a gazebo. Do you know if there was any cameras that actually covered that area that you were aware of?
I don't recall it.
Okay. You didn't install any cameras back there?
Yes, I didn't, and I had an installer helping me. So if I did personally installation, then I would remember every single location.
Okay. But that's fine. All right, so what happened after that then? How long were you there?
I believe between me and my installer, we were there for like half a day.
And the entire time you were with the defendant?
No, usually when I do a site visit, the first time, right? First time when I do a site visit, I spend all the time with the client. It could take 15, 20, 30 minutes. Second time when I go and do the installation, I usually, once I get from the client whenever I need access and all that, I like to work by myself or with my guy, So I think second time we had little interaction.
Okay. You left at some point, obviously. Did you leave with your installer?
I don't recall it. I think I did, but I don't recall it.
And then what's the next thing you do procedurally?
So before I leave, what I usually do is get the system on the internet. And I don't think the previous system was online. And that was it wasn't on the internet. That means you cannot access it remotely.
Okay, well, wait. Let me back you up. We're
Sure.
talking about, we're still at the walking around, look at the cameras.
Oh, initial visit?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Did you end up then sending a proposal to both the defendant and
Fabio? Yes.
Let me mark this people's 135. It's a 16-page document of emails including a proposal.
Very good.
So that same day then, Wednesday, June 22nd, 2016 at 1:04, do you recall sending this email then to sementilli.f@pg.com and again, calmati-mo@hotmail.com?
Yes.
Okay. And that was, to your knowledge, Fabio and Monica?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you include here? You mentioned a proposal.
So this is basically an estimate that we sent to replace the DVR, replace 3 cameras, replace or upgrade, and add an additional camera and replace or add a kitchen monitor or TV.
And does that come with a new DVR box?
It definitely comes with a new DVR box, yes.
Turning to page 2, is that your proposal?
Yes.
And your proposal total was $1,798.50.
That is correct.
Now there's some language in here in your proposal. One of them says you can do almost anything, everything on your phone, like watch live recording, save live or record an image and video, send image or video. What does that mean?
So basically means is once you get the system on the internet, you can view the cameras simultaneously, multiple channels, 4, 5, you can see the whole house in one's view, up to 16 cameras.
So if you were, well, we'll get into how you do that, but if you were to log on your phone, is it through an app?
It is through an app.
Great. You can pull up multiple cameras at once?
You can pull up multiple cameras at once.
So if the Sementillis had 5, could they watch all 5 cameras from their phone, assuming they have the app at one time?
Yes.
Okay. When you were out there for the first walkthrough, did you talk about this remote access with the defendant?
Absolutely.
And what did you tell her?
That you'll be able to access the cameras on the phone, PC, Mac. That's why we put that, a detailed description, because this is one of the reasons people upgrade their equipment. Most people who upgrade their equipment, they cannot view their cameras remotely because of limitations on older systems.
Was this an older system that you were upgrading that didn't have that capability?
I believe so, and it wasn't connected either to the network, so I did that myself.
Okay. So the previous camera system, you weren't able to view it on a phone as far as you knew?
That is correct.
All right. So you sent the proposal. The next day then, zooming in here, which is Thursday, the very next day, did you receive this email then back from the defendant, Monica Sementilli?
That is correct.
And was that the go-ahead that you were going to go ahead and do this installation?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And that's page 4. On page 5, is that you just confirming that it's approved?
Yes, just to reconfirm.
Okay, now at this point, according to the email, you're only communicating with the defendant. Fabio is not on these emails anymore. Is there any reason why?
Not sure. Yeah, seems like this is that was the first email where she took over.
Okay. And by the way, you never met Fabio, ever?
I've never met Fabio, no.
Okay. Page 7, again, is it clear as well? Again, the same day, Thursday, the day after you sent the proposal, that's the defendant telling you, yes, we want to proceed.
That is correct.
Okay, and again, no conversations with Fabio about this?
No.
All right. Okay, so that's one moment. All right, so you go out for the installation, and do you set up the installation?
Yes.
When did you set it up for, if you recall?
I don't recall the exact date. I don't know, it was June 23rd or...
Okay, so if you started the communication on the 19th, you went out for the estimate and emailed the proposal on the 23rd, then that is 27th sound right, a few days later?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. At that point, then, what's the process for going out for the installation?
So we set up a time like how early I can start the installation, and I believe with her case probably either my availability or her availability, we started close to like 8 o'clock. And what I like to do is when I show up in the morning, I like to go over one more time with the client just to make sure we're all on the same page, so there's no changes. So I take like 10-15 minutes of the client's time, like, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, because we're going from estimate to the execution. So I just want to make sure there's no changes from the time we spoke last. Sometimes people want to make changes or relocate the camera, so I want to know ahead of time before I start the job.
Okay, and I misspoke. You actually went out there on the 28th. Does that sound right?
Yes, I believe so.
Did you at some point start communicating with the defendant on text messaging?
I did, yes.
My name Marcus equals 136, a 2-page document with text messages between Monica-Woodland Hills is the title. Okay. So, do you recognize this conversation of text messages between you and the defendant?
Yes.
So on June 27th, is that you confirming see you tomorrow morning?
That is correct.
And is that for the installation?
That's for the installation, yes.
Okay, so then that morning, June 28th, the defendant's texting you, are you on your way, and you're confirming approximately 7:55?
That is correct.
Okay. Then you text, I need access to your PC, please, to set up remote access. What is that?
Basically, this is so my tech can log into her computer and do port forwarding so that she can watch the cameras on her phone.
Did she ultimately give that to you?
I believe she did.
Okay. And then at 10:32, I don't know if this is before or after, but can I pay with credit card? What is that about?
I think there was something about payment, like I like to collect half up front, and I believe she said there was something about payment, and then she said that, well, can I just pay you full? And then she wanted to pay by credit card, and I told her that's fine, but we'll have to take off the discount that we usually apply to check, you know.
Okay. All right, so you got the location, and who did you go with?
One of my installer, I don't recall the installer name.
And then what did you do when you got there?
Basically, what I usually like to do is when I get to the site, I look at the cameras, see if anything has changed from the last time I was there. Sometimes I take pictures. Most of the time I take a picture so I know where I'm starting at. So if I'm going to be working on 4 cameras or 5, I know where I started so I'm not missing anything. So we're not troubleshooting something that wasn't part of the job or scope of work. Then I usually want to get in to set up the remote access, get the system online. That was my goal. And I believe I probably showed up before my installer did. So I'll get the system online, get it up and running. I'll swap the DVR, the main recorder. Once I swap the DVR and I get it online, I have access on my phone. Then my tech can go and replace cameras, and I will be able to help him adjust the cameras.
Okay, so you got there first from what you remember.
I believe so.
When you got there, did you meet the defendant?
Yes.
Okay, and again, was she the only one that you saw there?
Yes.
Did you explain to her what you were going to do?
Yes.
Did you have another conversation about her being able to remotely access the cameras once they were installed?
I believe that was part of the whole conversation from the get-go, from Fabio, from her, that yes, absolutely, that's a must.
Okay, that's a must.
That's a must.
Okay, so when you said you got online, what did you do specifically? I know we're getting a little techie, but what did
No
you do?
worries. So basically, first I got to figure out a way to get the system on the internet. And for that, I need a hardwired cable, network cable. So if it's not close by, so what I do sometimes is either I will do a Wi-Fi network adapter. Basically, I will make my DVR like Wi-Fi capable. Usually DVRs are not Wi-Fi capable. So I'll make a Wi-Fi capable, or I will use network adapters that run internet cable network connection over the power of the house. So I don't recall which technology I used for her, but that's what I did initially when I got there, start setting up the system to get the system online.
Okay, so the actual box that was in the garage, the DVR box, did you bring in a new box and take out the old box?
Yes.
That DVR box, is it iCloud based, meaning if the box is taken and disappears, does it store things up in the iCloud like the technology we have today with our cell phones?
Good question. So most of the DVRs are somewhat capable of doing it. We don't do it. I only have one client that I'm doing it for, and they're paying for it. So I think 90+% of the clients don't do it for the cost. But are they capable? In one way or another, they are somewhat capable, but not like your phone, iPhone, no, not like that.
This DVR box, was it capable?
With very few limitations, not exactly.
So if the DVR box is taken, can you retrieve data from it? If it's taken out of the property, you don't know where it is, it's gone, can you retrieve data from it without the box?
No.
Okay, did you explain that to the defendant?
I don't recall it, to be honest. I don't recall if we had this conversation.
Okay. Did you have any conversation about iCloud or anything of that nature?
No, I don't recall it.
Okay. So when what if there's a power outage and the power goes out? What happens with the DVR box?
So as long as the power is out, the system doesn't record. And when the power comes back up, system comes back up automatically. Then it starts to record.
In simple terms for some of us, can you explain how a DVR box connects to the internet or the ISP or the provider?
Sure. So in order to view the cameras, for example, on your phone or your computer, anywhere you are, iPhone, Android, you have to download an app, and the app is going to ask you some basic information. And that information we provide to client in a very easy to follow format, so we don't have to train every day each client. And then it's going to ask you, what do you want to name the location? You can call it whatever you want. Then it says, what is the address? And it's referring to the IP address, which is unique for every client. For example, my phone right now has an IP address. That's how I can be traced. Your phone will have an IP address, but it can change. So you put the IP address in there, and I get that IP address from when I go to her house. I use her computer. That's why we got in her computer, so we can get her information, IP address, and my guy can send the email to her with all the instructions.
So that's my question is, you help your customers at the house determine if they don't know what their IP address is.
Exactly.
And you need that IP address for the app?
You absolutely need that IP address for the app to be able to view the cameras from anywhere.
Okay. So if there's no internet at the house, is the DVR box going to work?
Yes.
How is it going to work?
So the DVR is a standalone box. The cameras are connected, hardwired behind it. It doesn't require internet. But for you to view the cameras remotely, you must have internet.
Let's take a minute, interrupt.
Take our morning recess for 15 minutes. The admonition applies. See you back there.